This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And this is Monster in My Podcast.
And these are the flying polyps.
There's a monster in my podcast.
So the flying polyps, incredibly important. I'm about to say popular, right?
Yeah,
but
popular polyp. Popular polyps. Your grandpa's old sack bag. Last place again.
Yeah. So incredibly important in the mythos, right? They pop up in a lot of places. However, I never could square the name because it just sounds like a horrifying medical condition.
Yeah, well, they're not. That's not an official name,
right,
of them. That's not what they call themselves.
They don't like have banners.
Yeah, and in the story in Shadow of Time, they don't. He just refers to them that because they don't have another name. For them.
Right.
So they're like polyp-like and they fly.
Mm-hmm.
So they get called that, but they're probably called something cooler than that.
Yeah.
In the direct translation. These are like big, gross flying tumor things that have wind powers.
Yes. You can tell they're nearby because of their whistling.
I love that. Like, just like, because the whistling is specifically, my first instinct is to think of that as like a tuneful whistle, but it's just the air they control moving through their various apertures. It's like a wheezing, like when somebody is like stuffed up and they're sleeping in the same room. Like, that's what I think of this as.
Yeah. But these were in conflict with the great race of Yith and the kind of a tug of war over certain planets and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they lost because the Yith are great. Like the Yith are powerful and good. They're the great race. So these have been forced underground.
Right.
Where they still live. Like, Earth is like a big fucking Kinder egg full of these things.
Yep. You face one of these in dark corners of the Earth. You face several of them, actually. In a really cool sequence. I like that quite a bit.
An endgame monster. Yeah. And their whole thing is they have wind attacks. So like they can they can just shoot you with wind and like shear the flesh from your bones. They can also do like knockbacks and stuff.
This has one of my favorite sentences in the entire book so far. Victims of the wind blast literally have their flesh stripped from their bones and their skin dehydrated and windburned and are blown backwards for a number of yards equal to the hit points they have lost. So I've got two concerns that are of equal importance in this sentence. I have no more skin, and also I'm over there now.
Yeah, exactly. you got force blasted back. One of the things I never see that in tabletop games, but Call of Cthulhu will do it where like they'll use the amount of hit point lost as another measurement. And it just makes tons of sense. Like the worse you got hit, the further you got sent back. But I never see that in other tabletop games. It's real weird. So pretty cool. Like as far as like the one thing I'll say about them is they're not very adventure hooky.
No.
Like the adventure hook is very off the shelf. Like you're going underground for some reason and you happen to run into these things.
Yeah. The big dig in Boston unearthed one, and it's now lording over the city. Yeah.
That's about what you can do.
Yes.
And they're also extremely tough. So they're not like the kind of thing you want to throw at a thing. One thing you may or may not have noticed is that like in Call of Cthulhu, a lot of times the 2-hit percentages, like you're rolling under the percentage, and a lot of even tough monsters have like 25%. This wind blast, which like destroys you, is 70%, and the tentacle attack, which is also no fucking joke, is like 85%. So these things are extremely competent.
I get the sense that they're not to be encountered. Like this is an apocalyptic event more so than a monster.
One of them is a boss, and you need to wall up that section of Boston.
Right.
So like where the Affleck brothers are, you just figure out where they're at. You get a polyp on the case and you brick that shit up.
Yep. Just to kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. 3 birds.
Brought to you by our backers at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.